Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Zeres1999, and I decided I wanted to do reviews on all of the legendaries in the game, or at least as many of the legendaries in the game as I can. So I figured I would start doing those, and I wanted to start off with the Brainstormer here. As you can see, I have de-statted all of my perks. I don't have anything affecting my gun damage or anything, so you're just going to see the raw stats of the gun. The shield I have on has nothing to do with the damage, it's just for protection. There's no damage modifiers on it. I've taken off my class mod, my artifact, and my grenades. I'm just going to be testing this weapon itself, like raw, as it is. So this is the Brainstormer. It's a really solid shotgun. It is... Your stats might be different from this, but I've got 297 times 7 damage, 63 accuracy, 73% handling, 2.7 reload time, 2.48 fire rate, and an 8 magazine size. It's a shock shotgun. I believe it always comes in shock. It's a world drop shotgun, so you can get it from any enemy that drops legendaries. I got it specifically from Chupacabrach. So we're going to show how this works. We're going through Ascension Bluff, as you can see. I figured this would be a good place to test it. We are on TVHM, so all the enemies are scaled to me. But we do not have Mayhem mode on because we don't want any modifiers messing with the testing. But I figured it'd be a good mix of enemies because we've got the lower level enemies, and then as we come up here we can fight the boss. So you get to see how it does against groups of enemies and how it does against bosses. So let's start running through here. I'll show you how it works, and I'll also tell you how it works on the way up. This is essentially a shotgun that when you shoot an enemy, if there are other enemies around, it's going to chain lightning to those other enemies, and it does quite a bit of damage when it starts chaining. So this is a really good crowd control shotgun. So I'm going to start using it. As you can see, it's chaining to those other enemies, and it's doing quite a bit of damage. So there goes that first group of enemies. As long as you keep shooting enemies and there are other enemies nearby, it will be chaining to those other enemies. So it's pretty effective for taking out groups of enemies. So we're going to make our way through here. Kind of test that out on all the enemies around here. You can kind of just get a feel for how it works. Watch the way I'm using it. It's a Hyperion, so I've got the shield on the front, so if you're feeling a little, if you're feeling like you're taking a lot of damage, you can always use the shield on the front. As you can see, it's a fairly solid shotgun overall, but it really shines when you have enemies to chain it to. That's when it does the most damage, as you can see. It's really good for a melting shield as well.
I'm on fire! But not literally.
And as you can see, it doesn't use too much ammo. It's a really effective shotgun for melting shields, and it's good for crowd control. We'll see how it does against the boss up here once we get up there. Shouldn't be too long based on how fast we're killing these enemies, though. pretty close to the boss room, so pretty soon we'll be able to see how this thing does against bosses. The reason why I'm going through this entire place and not just killing a couple enemies outside and then killing the boss itself is because I want you guys to get a good feel of how the weapon works and what you can expect from it. Alright. Last two enemies before the boss fight. Alright, and we're going to fill up on ammo before the boss fight. We're going to do this with every weapon, no matter how full or empty on ammo it is. Just because it seems like a good idea to do. That way it stays fair. Alright, and here comes the boss fight. We're going to see how it does. So as you can see, the more enemies it chains to, it seems to do more damage. Alright, so now he's down off his first phase. We'll wait for him to do his thing. Alright, keep going. So as you can see, it does best when there are other enemies around to chain to. It's not as good for boss fights, I wouldn't really recommend it for that. It's designed more for crowd control. However, it can do boss fights, it's just not designed for it. There's the second phase done. It's a good thing that Tink was being attacked by the chain lightning there, or I wouldn't have gotten that second win. Alright, so there we go. As you can see, it didn't do too much damage to the enemies, to the boss itself, but it does tons of enemies when you have plenty other ones around. So, yep, that's pretty much all for this weapon. Overall, I'd say it's going to be best used for crowds of enemies. Don't really use it against bosses, it's meant more for crowds. But for crowds, it really excels at stripping shield. So yep, that's all for that weapon. If you guys want me to use any other weapons or review any other weapons, let me know. I will try them out in the comments, and if I don't have them, I will figure out how to get them, and I will make sure to do that. I'll also probably be doing shields, as well as class mods, all sorts of jazz. Pretty much anything legendary that you guys want me to do, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So yep, it's been Zero's 1999. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one.